Ice-cold water is soaking through my custom silk dress. It is dragging me down to the bottom of the stone fountain. Above me, my own father is holding a microphone. He is laughing. The entire wedding reception is pointing and staring at me. Flashes from expensive cameras are blinding my eyes. My name is Clara. I am 33 years old, and my family thinks they have finally destroyed me. They think I am trapped in their psychological game. They think I am the pathetic, invisible loser of the family. They have absolutely no idea that I am the one holding the keys to their cage. How did I end up drowning in a fountain at my younger sister's luxury wedding? Let me rewind the tape. Growing up in the wealthy Sterling family of Boston was a daily masterclass in psychological warfare. My parents, Thomas and Eleanor, cared about one thing and one thing only: perfect optics. To the outside world, we were the ultimate American success story. My father was a high-powered corporate attorney. My mother ran a prestigious charity foundation. We lived in a massive colonial estate. But behind closed doors, our house was a prison. And I was the inmate. From the day I was born, I was the invisible child. My sister Bella, who was exactly 2 years younger than me, was the golden girl. I spent my entire childhood paying the heavy price for her perfection. Everything was a competition I was rigged to lose. When I was 12 years old, I spent 6 months practicing a complex piano piece for the winter recital. I played it flawlessly, but that same night, Bella drew a messy picture of a horse. My parents framed Bella's drawing and hung it in the main hallway. They did not even mention my piano performance. When I brought home straight A grades, my mother told me that grades do not matter if you do not have natural charm. When Bella brought home failing grades, my father hired 3 expensive private tutors and bought her a designer handbag to make her feel better. I was the scapegoat. Every argument, every mistake, every missing item in the house was somehow my fault. Why can you not be more like your sister? That was the daily soundtrack of my childhood. When I turned 18, the final betrayal happened. I had worked 2 part-time jobs and studied late into the night to earn a partial scholarship to a top university. I needed my parents to cover the remaining tuition. The money was supposed to be in my college fund. On the day my tuition was due, my father called me into his massive mahogany office. He did not look at me. He looked at his computer screen. "We redirected the college fund, Clara," he said coldly. "Bella needs a new luxury car for her sweet 16. It is crucial for her social standing. You will have to take out student loans." They drained $80,000 of my future to buy a car for a teenager who did not even have a driver's license yet. I did not scream. I did not cry. I simply walked out of his office. That was the exact moment something inside my chest snapped. The desperate daughter seeking love died that day. A completely different person was born. I took out massive federal loans. I moved out the next day. I lived in a freezing, tiny apartment with a broken heater. I ate cheap noodles for 4 solid years. And I built an impenetrable wall around my real life. I gave my family exactly what they wanted. I gave them a failure. I told them I worked a dead-end data entry job. I wore cheap, oversized clothes whenever I was forced to attend their holiday dinners. I let my aunt mock my cheap shoes. I let my cousin laugh at my imaginary tiny salary. I played the role of the boring, pathetic sister flawlessly. It was the greatest cover story I could have ever engineered. Because behind that wall, I did not just survive my trauma, I weaponized it. I do not work in data entry. I graduated at the absolute top of my federal academy class. For the last 10 years, I have been hunting international spies, corrupt politicians, and white-collar criminals. I am the youngest deputy director of counterintelligence in the history of the federal government. I command an army of highly trained field agents. I make decisions that affect national security. And I have a secret weapon that my family does not know about. 2 years ago, I met Julian. We collided at a highly classified cybersecurity summit in Washington. Julian did not come from old money. He grew up in the foster system. He built a global tech empire from absolutely nothing. He is currently worth $8 billion. He saw right through my armor in 5 minutes. We married in a private ceremony on a cliff in Big Sur. No toxic family, no media. Just us and 2 armed federal agents as witnesses. We kept our marriage completely classified. We enjoyed our peace. Until 6 months ago. My intelligence division was tracking a massive offshore money laundering ring. We were following digital breadcrumbs across 3 different continents. The stolen money belonged to the federal government. One night, Julian was running the encrypted data through his supercomputers. He walked into my office. His face was completely unreadable. He handed me a secure tablet. "You need to look at the primary target, Clara," Julian said softly. I looked at the glowing screen. I saw the bank account routing numbers, and then I saw the name attached to the stolen federal funds. Thomas Sterling. My father. My father was not just a corporate attorney. He was the architect of a massive criminal empire, and he was using my mother's charity foundation to wash the dirty money. The cat and mouse game began that exact night. I did not arrest him immediately. I wanted to build an airtight case. I wanted to take everything from him. Then, the wedding invitation arrived in my mailbox. Heavy cardstock, gold foil. Bella was marrying a man named Preston. My parents demanded I attend the wedding at their luxury estate. They thought they were inviting the family scapegoat to humiliate her one last time. They did not know they were inviting the lead federal investigator directly into their crime scene. And they definitely did not know who Preston, the groom, really was. Toy Jen, Saidang Chuang, Heiji Sao Vong Hituat Chien Tran Tamli. Chungta se chokhan gia the ronsu sa hua to jokwa, gia Jean Sterling, nhungkwa langkin kwe mot jakfu, moi tho laplan joju, labang chung pham toi. Can be so ang shong jai fu nuos, o how fan mot gio jai, se juach tai hien lai theo jung dong toi gian. Jai kem suits, tuk, gian kua khan gia, len mak kaun hat, chuan bi choman lat keo o shuong ba. Tat ka kats kon so tiep duks, juk chuin than chu jetoi u huan toan chok hong ku jok oi voice. Kich ban chi tiet, ang kon ang ku. EUS, muk teo tong, koang nam hin tu, fan hai train nam. Style instructions, Giong Nu, Clara. Jok voi fong thai GM10, jai tin kwan sat kwa mo jak vu kap kao. Ki meo ta su sa ho kwa gia jin, Giong juk sen lan sumia mai va kin bi. Ki jen jo an bilam huk va jaik suang nosh, nhip jiu cham lai, nhen mon fao tungam than kwa su chek yu, sao jo ket thuk bang mot kao chot kuk ki lan lung, vang gui hiem. Full script, AI voice ready, US language. Chapter 2, The Lion's Den. I parked my cheap rental car at the very edge of the massive gravel driveway. I did not want the valet to touch my vehicle. My trunk contained highly classified federal documents, a tactical vest, and a loaded federal-issue firearm. I grabbed my small waterproof clutch. I smoothed out my simple emerald green dress. I took a deep breath. I was not stepping into a family reunion. I was stepping into an active crime scene. The Sterling family estate was completely transformed. 10,000 white orchids hung from custom crystal chandeliers. Waiters in white tuxedo jackets carried silver trays of imported caviar and vintage French champagne. A live string quartet played classical music on the grand terrace. My intelligence division had already pulled the financial records for this exact event. $2 million. That was the exact cost of this single evening. $2 million stolen directly from federal infrastructure grants, washed through my mother's fake charity, and spent on flowers and fish eggs. I walked up the marble steps. I felt absolutely zero intimidation. A sheep gets nervous walking into a pack of wolves. I was not a sheep. I was the hunter, and the wolves had no idea the forest was already surrounded. The psychological warfare started the exact moment I crossed the threshold. My Aunt Beatrice intercepted me near the ice sculpture. She looked me up and down. Her eyes locked onto my simple diamond stud earrings. She smirked. "Clara!" Beatrice said loudly, making sure the nearby guests could hear. "You finally made it. We were starting to think your little data entry boss forced you to work overtime on a Saturday." I looked at Beatrice. I knew for a fact she was $50,000 in credit card debt and hiding a severe gambling addiction from her husband. "I managed to get the evening off, Beatrice," I replied smoothly. "It is good to see you." She scoffed and walked away. I let her have her fake victory. Next came my mother. Eleanor floated through the crowd in a custom pale blue designer gown. She spotted me. Her fake smile tightened. She grabbed my arm and pulled me into a quiet corner. "You wore green," Eleanor hissed. "I specifically told you the family color palette was ivory and gold. You always have to ruin the aesthetic, do you not?" "Green is practical," I said evenly. "Just like your pathetic little apartment," Eleanor shot back. She adjusted her diamond necklace. "Try to blend into the background tonight, Clara. Several major donors for my orphan charity foundation are here. I cannot have them seeing my eldest daughter looking like a low-level secretary. It is bad for fundraising." I looked directly into my mother's eyes. "How is the orphan fund doing, Eleanor? Are the accounts full?" She beamed with absolute pride. "Overflowing. We just transferred $5 million to the offshore trust yesterday. It is a massive success." "I am sure it is," I said softly. I already had the wire transfer receipts locked in my federal safe. Then, the bride appeared. Bella was radiant in a custom white silk gown. She wore a tiara that cost more than a small house. She walked over to me, dragging her new husband, Preston, by the hand. "Clara!" Bella squealed. It was a fake, high-pitched sound. "You came!" I was so worried you could not afford the gas money to drive out here. Several bridesmaids laughed behind her. "I would not miss your special day for the world, Bella," I said. Bella held up her left hand. A massive, flawless 5-carat diamond ring sparkled in the light. "Look what Preston got me. We are spending a whole month in the Maldives for our honeymoon. He is just so successful." I looked at Preston, the venture capitalist, the fake billionaire. Preston made brief eye contact with me. He slowly reached up and adjusted his left silver cufflink. It was a tactical signal. The cufflink contained a microscopic federal camera. Preston was broadcasting high-definition audio and video directly to my intelligence team waiting in the dark command center. I gave Preston a microscopic nod. The signal was received. The trap was armed. And at exactly 8 o'clock, the sun set over the estate. My father, Thomas, walked up to the microphone stand located right next to the massive courtyard fountain. He tapped his crystal glass. The crowd of 300 elite guests fell dead silent. Thomas gave a long, arrogant speech. He praised his own wealth. He praised his beautiful golden daughter. He praised his brilliant new son-in-law. And then, his eyes scanned the dark edges of the courtyard. He found me standing near the terrace doors. Thomas did not just look at me, he hunted me. He walked off the stage. The spotlight operator followed him. He walked straight toward me, forcing the wealthy crowd to part. "And then we have Clara," Thomas announced into the microphone. His voice echoed through the massive speakers, bouncing off the stone walls. Always hiding in the dark. Always completely alone. The crowd turned to stare at me, hundreds of eyes judging my simple dress. I took a slow step backward. The edge of the bubbling stone fountain pressed against the back of my knees. I realized he was cornering me. "Dad, stop," I said quietly. "Stop?" Thomas mocked loudly. "Why? Are you embarrassed? You should be. Look at your sister, a massive success, a wealthy husband, and you? You are a ghost, a parasitic disappointment. You contribute absolutely nothing to this family name. You are a complete failure." He stepped dangerously close. I smelled the heavy, expensive whiskey on his breath. His eyes were wide with cruel, drunken power. "You make us look bad just by standing here," he hissed, lowering the microphone. He did not just insult me, he raised both of his hands. With a violent, aggressive shove, he pushed me hard in the chest. I lost my balance, my heels slipped on the polished marble, I fell backward into the empty air. The impact knocked the breath completely out of me. Ice-cold water rushed over my head. I hit the hard stone bottom of the fountain. For 3 seconds, there was absolute shocked silence. Then the laughter erupted. It was not just my father. The entire reception was laughing. Cruel, echoing laughter. My mother covered her mouth, giggling uncontrollably. Bella leaned against Preston, shaking with amusement. Cameras flashed everywhere. They were documenting my ultimate humiliation. I sat up in the freezing water. My custom dress was ruined. My hair was plastered to my face. I looked up at the man who gave me life. His face held pure, vicious victory. He thought he had finally broken me. He thought the mouse was dead. Down here in the freezing water, my waterproof phone vibrated against my leg. I pulled it out of my clutch. A single encrypted text message flashed on the glowing screen. It was from Julian. "Entering airspace. Look up." I wiped the cold water from my eyes. I looked at my father's smiling face. The lion had just walked directly into the federal cage, and I was about to lock the door. I stand up slowly. The freezing water drips from my ruined silk dress. I step over the stone edge of the fountain. I do not shiver. I do not cry. I walk straight through the crowd of laughing guests. They part for me like I am a walking ghost. I stop right in front of my father. I look dead into his eyes. "You just made the final mistake of your entire life," I say softly. My father scoffs. He turns his back to me. He raises the microphone to his mouth to make another cruel joke. He never gets the chance. A low rumble shakes the massive glass windows of the ballroom. The string quartet stops playing mid-note. The wealthy guests look around in total confusion. The rumble turns into a deafening, terrifying roar. A military-grade black helicopter descends out of the dark night sky. It hovers directly over the manicured estate lawns. The brutal wind from the heavy rotors knocks over the massive champagne tower. Hundreds of crystal glasses shatter everywhere. Women scream in terror. The helicopter touches down. At the exact same moment, 6 black tactical vehicles smash directly through the front iron security gates of the estate. They tear through the perfectly trimmed hedges. They park in a tight, impenetrable circle around the main entrance. My father drops the microphone. It squeals loudly. Bella grips her expensive wedding dress, her eyes wide with absolute panic. The heavy oak ballroom doors are kicked open. 12 men in full black tactical gear storm the room. They secure every single exit in under 10 seconds. They carry federal-issue assault rifles. They wear silver federal intelligence badges. Nobody moves. Nobody breathes. Then he walks in. Julian wears a midnight blue tailored suit. His eyes are like ice. He radiates terrifying, absolute power. 2 senior federal agents flank him. He does not look at the panicked crowd. He locks eyes with me. He walks straight past the trembling groom. He ignores my father entirely. He stops in front of me. He takes off his warm suit jacket. He wraps it securely around my freezing shoulders. "Are you hurt?" Julian asks. His voice is calm, but it holds the dark promise of extreme violence. "I am perfectly fine," I reply. My father finally finds his voice. He steps forward, his face red with arrogant rage. "Who the hell are you? Get out of my daughter's wedding right now. I'm calling the chief of police. I know him personally." Julian turns his head slowly. He looks at my father like a bug on a dirty windshield. "I am Julian Vance, Chief Executive Officer of Vance Global, and I am her husband." The entire room gasps. Someone drops a porcelain plate. It shatters loudly on the marble floor. My mother's face turns completely gray. "Husband?" Bella chokes out. "That is impossible. Clara is broke. She enters data for a living." Julian smiles. It is a terrifying, predatory smile. "My wife," Julian says, his voice echoing in the dead silent room, "is the Deputy Director of Federal Intelligence. She holds clearance levels you cannot even comprehend, and she has been investigating this pathetic family for 6 solid months." My father steps back. He bumps into the melting ice sculpture. He looks at me. For the first time in 33 years, I see genuine, raw fear in his eyes. The illusion of his power is completely shattered. A senior agent steps forward. He hands me a waterproof encrypted tablet. I wipe the cold water from my face. I look at the glowing screen. I look at my father. The cat and mouse game is officially over. I am the cat, and I am hungry. "Thomas," I say loudly. I refuse to call him Dad. "Did you really think my intelligence division did not know about the offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands? You have been embezzling money from your law firm clients for 7 entire years. You are completely bankrupt. This entire $2 million wedding was paid for with stolen federal infrastructure funds. You are lying," my father screams. Sweat pours down his red face. "This is an illegal setup." "Agent Miller," I say calmly, never breaking eye contact with Thomas, "execute the federal warrant." 2 heavy agents grab my father. They slam his hands violently behind his back. The sharp sound of heavy metal handcuffs clicking shut echoes loudly across the silent ballroom. My mother collapses to her knees, sobbing hysterically into her designer hands. Bella runs toward me. Her perfect makeup is running down her face in dark black streaks. "Clara, stop this right now! Preston, do something! Call your corporate lawyers!" "I stop them!" Preston, the groom, stands completely frozen. He is staring at Julian. He is trembling violently, but Preston does not call his lawyers. Instead, he slowly reaches inside his tailored jacket pocket. Agent Miller instantly unholsters his weapon. "Hands where I can see them," Miller shouts. Preston raises his hands slowly. In his right hand, he holds a small black encrypted flash drive. He ignores his screaming bride. He looks directly at me and then at Julian. "I have the offshore routing files," Preston whispers. His voice shakes, but his eyes are steady. "I have every single document you asked for, Director." Bella stops screaming. My father stops struggling against the tight handcuffs. The entire room freezes in absolute horrifying shock. The man my sister just married is not a wealthy venture capitalist. He is my undercover confidential informant. Preston straightens his cheap tie. He looks down at the crying golden girl. "We are not married, Bella," Preston says coldly. "The priest standing at the altar was an undercover federal agent. The marriage certificate you signed was a completely fake document. This entire relationship was a federal sting operation." Bella screams. It is a loud, piercing sound of pure agony. She lunges at Preston, but 2 heavily armed federal agents step in front of him. They push Bella back. She collapses onto the cold, wet marble floor. Her perfect white custom gown spreads around her like a puddle of milk. Thomas watches his favorite daughter fall to the floor. He looks at the armed agents. He looks at the hard evidence in Preston's hand. Thomas realizes he is looking at 20 years in a federal prison. He makes a desperate, sickening choice. Thomas looks back at me. He lowers his voice, leaning in close. Clara, Thomas whispers desperately, I can make a deal. I will give you the master passwords. But they are not mine. The secret accounts, the ones holding the stolen millions, they are entirely in Bella's name. She signed the wire transfers. Arrest her. Let me go. Bella snaps her head up. Her tear-stained face freezes in pure horror as she realizes her own father just threw her to the wolves. Bella stares at our father. The golden child finally understands the brutal truth. Thomas does not love her. He never did. He only loves himself. And he is perfectly willing to send his favorite daughter to a federal prison to save his own skin. Dad, Bella whispers, her voice trembling with absolute shock. You gave me those offshore accounts. You told me to sign those specific wire transfer documents. You said it was just a standard tax strategy for my trust fund. Keep your mouth shut, Bella, Thomas snaps at her. His face is twisted in pure, ugly panic. He looks back at me, his eyes wide with desperate pleading. Clara, please listen to me. She signed the papers. Her fingerprints are on the digital ledgers. I can give you the master passwords right now. Full administrative access to the Cayman network. Just let me walk away. Just give me 1 single hour to get to the airport. I look at the pathetic man begging on the wet marble floor. I feel absolutely zero pity. I watch the fake Sterling Empire burn, and it is a beautiful sight. Before I can answer Thomas, movement catches my eye. My mother, Eleanor, is slowly backing away toward the grand terrace doors. She is holding her designer clutch tightly against her chest, trying to slip away in the absolute chaos. Going somewhere, Eleanor? I ask loudly. Eleanor freezes. 300 wealthy guests turn to look at her. 2 heavily armed federal agents step directly into her path, blocking the exit. I have nothing to do with this, Eleanor screams hysterically. She points a shaking finger at Thomas. He handles the finances. I just run the charity. I am an innocent socialite. I walk slowly toward my mother. My ruined emerald dress leaves a dark trail of water on the expensive floor. Eleanor, I say clearly. I refuse to call her mother. Let us talk about your prestigious charity foundation, the one you used to show off to high society. Eleanor swallows hard. Her pale blue designer gown is trembling. I smile. It is cold and incredibly sharp. We audited your charity, Eleanor. You have been funneling the stolen federal money directly through the orphan fund to avoid taxes. You stole millions of dollars meant for children to buy luxury cars, designer dresses, and vintage champagne. The Internal Revenue Service froze every single one of your personal bank accounts exactly 10 minutes ago. Your platinum credit cards are currently declining at the open bar. Eleanor drops her champagne glass. It shatters loudly on the floor. No, that is completely impossible. Thomas, tell them she is lying. Thomas says nothing. He is staring at the floor, sweating profusely. I nod to Agent Miller. Eleanor Sterling is a primary co-conspirator in massive federal fraud. Arrest her! 2 federal agents grab my mother. They twist her arms securely behind her back. Get your hands off me! Eleanor screams at the top of her lungs. I am a Sterling. I belong to the elite country club. You cannot do this to me! The cold steel handcuffs click tightly around her wrists. They drag her away. She kicks and screams all the way out the heavy oak doors, crying about her ruined reputation. The remaining wedding guests are completely silent. Dozens of them are filming on their cell phones. I let them film. I want the entire Boston high society to see the absolute destruction of the Sterling family. I turn my attention back to my sister. Bella is sobbing on the floor. Preston, the undercover agent, looks down at her. He pulls a silver badge from his pocket. Isabella Sterling, Preston says formally, his voice echoing in the quiet room. You are under arrest for federal money laundering and wire fraud. You have the right to remain silent. Preston, please, Bella begs, grabbing his pant leg. I loved you. We were going to the Maldives. Preston gently but firmly removes her hand. He handcuffs the golden girl. Her massive 5-carat fake diamond ring catches the light as her hands are locked behind her back. Now, there is only one person left. Thomas watches his wife and his favorite daughter get dragged away by federal agents. He breathes a heavy sigh of relief. He actually thinks his terrible deal worked. He thinks he is safe. He looks up at me and attempts a pathetic, winning smile. I gave you the targets, Clara. We have a deal, right? The federal government has the accounts. I am free to go. I look down at him. Thomas, I say softly, letting the silence stretch across the massive ballroom. I do not need your master passwords. Julian's cyber division cracked your Cayman network 3 entire days ago. We already seized all the funds. We already have the digital ledgers. You have absolutely nothing left to trade. Thomas stops breathing. The color completely drains from his face. The final door just slammed shut. I stand in the center of the ruined ballroom. Julian is standing right behind me. The room is completely empty of my toxic family, but 300 wealthy wedding guests are still standing there. They are frozen in absolute terror. These are the people who laughed at me when I was pushed into the water. These are the people who drank my mother's vintage champagne and mocked my cheap shoes. They thought they were completely untouchable. I look at the silent, trembling crowd. The party is officially over, I announce clearly. My voice echoes off the high marble walls. But before you leave, I have one final piece of business. The guests stare at me. Nobody dares to make a single sound. Many of you are major donors to my mother's orphan charity foundation, I say. I slowly walk down the steps from the main stage. You wrote massive checks. You took smiling pictures for high society magazines. You thought you were buying good karma to cover up your greed. An older millionaire in a custom tuxedo nervously wipes sweat from his forehead. You were actually funding a federal money laundering syndicate? I continue coldly. Every single dollar you donated was used to commit massive federal wire fraud. And because you signed those donation checks, your names are permanently attached to the illegal accounts. Absolute panic sweeps through the room. A wealthy socialite drops her expensive designer clutch. Agent Miller, I call out. Agent Miller steps forward holding a thick stack of federal documents. The federal government has issued official subpoenas for every single donor on the charity list, I announce. Nobody leaves this estate until you provide your full legal name, your primary home address, and your personal banking information to the armed agents at the door. You are all officially under federal investigation. The high society crowd erupts into complete chaos. Millionaires are crying. Socialites are screaming at each other. The elite country club members are fighting to get to the exit. But heavily armed federal agents block the heavy oak doors. They are turning on each other in an instant, just like my family did. I do not stay to watch them cry. I turn my back on the pathetic crowd. Julian places his warm hand on my lower back. We walk together toward the open grand terrace doors. The cool night air hits my face. The black military helicopter is waiting on the manicured lawn. The heavy rotors are spinning loudly, completely drowning out the sounds of the crying billionaires inside the ballroom. Before I step into the helicopter cabin, I stop. I turn around and look at the stone courtyard. I look at the bubbling water fountain. Exactly 1 hour ago, my father pushed me into that freezing water. He wanted to destroy my spirit. He wanted to drown the family scapegoat in front of hundreds of people. He made a fatal miscalculation. He did not realize that ice-cold water washes away the dirt. The pathetic, invisible daughter died at the very bottom of that stone fountain. The deputy director of counterintelligence stepped out. I climb into the heavy helicopter next to my husband. The steel doors slide completely shut, sealing us safely inside. We lift off into the dark night sky. I look down through the thick glass window. The massive luxury estate is surrounded by dozens of flashing red and blue police lights. The fake Sterling Empire is burning to the ground. I lean my head against Julian's warm shoulder. He takes my hand and kisses my knuckles. For the first time in 33 years, I am completely, beautifully free. But you said, Thomas stammers, his eyes darting wildly. I never agreed to a deal, I interrupt coldly. I just wanted to see if you would actually sell out your favorite daughter to save yourself. And you did. You are exactly the monster I always knew you were. Agent Miller, I command, my voice slicing through the heavy air. Take him out. Federal agents grab Thomas. He screams. He curses my name. He struggles against the heavy steel handcuffs, but it is entirely useless. He joins my mother and my sister in the black tactical vehicles waiting outside. I stand in the center of the ruined ballroom. Julian walks up behind me and places his warm hand on my lower back. The room is completely empty of my toxic family, but the wealthy wedding guests are still standing there, frozen in terror. I look at the remaining crowd. The party is over, I announce clearly, but before you leave, I have one final piece of business.